Hey folks, Homer Ibarra back here in the West Hall.
Yes, indeed. E3 coverage continues as the camera comes to me. Hello, everyone. Brian Eckberg back on stage. GameSpot's live coverage of E3 2009, and we're checking out Madden NFL 10 with senior designer at EA Sports, Ian Cummings. Ian, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
How's E3 treating you so far?
Oh, it's lovely.
Yeah, it's good to be
Not
back.
tiring at all.
Not at all.
No.
This might be the first time he's sat down in 3 days.
Yes, yeah.
All right, so Madden NFL 10. Of course, you guys have been really open with what you've been doing this year in terms of development. But if there's one thing that you're most proud of with this game, what would it be?
Oh, it's tough to say, but online franchise is a big home run for me.
Right.
I think a lot of people expected online franchise since we did Online Dynasty, but for us to go to that next level and allow you to access it from a website and allow you to access it, from an iPhone, that was the big change for me. I'm really proud of that.
When did you guys decide that, okay, we're doing online franchise this year or for 10?
The second I joined the team.
Really?
Yeah.
So that was a couple years ago, right?
No, I joined Madden as a lead designer right around when 09 shipped, right around in August. And we made that commitment right then. We didn't know exactly what it was going to be, how much we were going to get, but we as a team knew we had to do it. We had to do it right.
Right, and when you were designing it, obviously there's things that you're going to want to add to it for Madden NFL 11. So what was like the core experience you wanted out of online franchise?
The core experience, once we decided that we wanted to go to the server, was really around the draft, multi-years. Online leagues wasn't going to cut it. We had to have 32 teams. We had to have real NFL schedules. And then all of the core aspects of running a franchise, depth charts, trades, that was really the big thing. Super Bowl history, make sure you could play through the Super Bowl, and all 32 people being there or not. Having 2 users play an online franchise or having 32, we had to have that back and forth.
And I have to ask about the web interface in the iPhone. Was that something you guys want to do right away, or did one of your marketing guys kick down the door and say, we got to do an iPhone app?
The marketing guys definitely were very influential there.
Right.
Again, we wanted to do online franchise, but they did come in and give us suggestions and say, people expect it. Well, can we go bigger?
Right.
And so as a team, it kind of made sense at that point to say, all right, well, let's access it anywhere, one click away, anytime.
Right. I know people are really curious about the iPhone app. Any hints on when we'll be seeing it or what we can expect from it?
We just started getting mocks in. So this is the great part about having everything kind of server driven, is that we can work on it pretty late. We're shipping Madden, we're finishing it right now.
Right.
Next couple of weeks we have to be done. But server side, we can keep working all the way up till ship and even after ship.
All right, so we're in a game here. We got the Packers and the Bears. On the field, you guys are obviously always improving things. It starts with a new tackling system, is that fair to say?
I would say so. ProTac was where everything started. That's where kind of the genesis of the game came out. ProTac started just as only gang tackling technology, and we ended up sharing that tech everywhere.
Right.
Having the ability to form a pocket correctly had always been very important to us. And so having the steering technology, the layered animation stuff, helped us do that the right way.
So if I'm a player, what does ProTac do for me on both sides of the ball?
It's really all about more control, and not just more control, the most control we've ever given you in any Madden game, in any EA sports game, I think.
Right.
I think when a tackle started or when you got into an animation before, you're stuck. The animation is going to play out like motion capture does. It may look great, but you are out of control. So us having that a little extra ability to control that animation, move it around, or break out of it early, or have multiple people add in and change the velocity and shape of that animation is where
I wonder if you could show a play and maybe we can get a really good example of what's of this year compared to what you were doing last year.
I'll do that. Let me get on offense and I'll see if I can give that a shot.
Because essentially this is more than just a bunch of new animations, right?
Yeah. It's motion capture is what's driven Madden for years. I mean, I think Madden might have been one of the very first games to have motion capture.
Right.
But we're at that point where physics and ultra control, those things are very important to everyone. So we wanted to kind of meld the two.
All right,
you see a lot of new presentation, a lot of new cameras.
Right.
That was a big focus as well, but I'll see if I can get a play here.
Oh.
Yeah, that was a great version.
I'm afraid that might happen a lot this year as a Bears fan. I'm very afraid of that.
Cutler, man, he's good.
Yeah.
Vanderbilt.
People keep telling me that. Yeah, I remember he did go to Vandy.
Beats it to the back.
So even that tackle animation, this is a kind of a small example. we were able to kind of manipulate these animations as they play out. So even this animation, I can move upfield and he can move downfield. So we have animations that are a lot longer, that are more evident, but we try to make sure that even at the smallest level, you didn't feel like you're out of control and it's just happening. A lot of times you might have a tackle that's happening right at the goal line and the defender would push you into the end zone.
Right.
You know, or you would get pushed out even if you had no control. So having the ability to use the ratings and use the input from the player, you can manipulate those animations as they play back.
And what's interesting is that even at the point of contact, you still have some control over which way things are heading.
A little bit of control. It's just, and it's subtle, but I mean, everyone that we've seen at the show floor just starts feeling, hey, it feels like football.
Right.
It feels right. So, it's not necessarily the easiest thing to demo. That's what's always kind of been a struggle for me.
Yeah.
But it starts to show off the game engine itself and show that, hey, we are improving things in a core gameplay sense. And
so does that technology make a difference on the defensive side of the ball as well?
Yes. So steering was also applied. If you're rushing the passer. Also, when you get engaged as a defender, being able to shed the block early and break out at any time or steer it was a big deal. I mean, that's something that people have always felt frustrated with. Oh, I get stuck in a block, I can't do anything.
Right.
Now you can break out of it.
Oh.
There's a good layered animation. We'll show that off.
You're making this look good. You're making the Bears look great.
Oh. We'll show
Another
that
byproduct is big gang tackles this year, right?
Yeah, big gang tackles.
Yeah.
So this, you even see the layered animation technology at work. So it came out like a duck, but every single Madden in the past, if you started to throw, he would bring it down.
Right.
Very frustrating, and that's not even for hardcore gamers or anything. That's
tuck
for
rule.
Yeah, right. So the tuck rule is definitely in effect. So we'll see old Forte takes off. And so at this point, any other number of people could have joined in if they're there.
Right.
They get into these kind of scrums where they can push and fight backwards and forwards, and that's where fight for every yard kind of came from. These happen a lot on the goal line, where you'll have 5 or 6 guys attached on, and you're trying to push it forward, they're trying to push it back. It just ends up being a really nice moment. Doesn't happen every play,
right.
But it's just a really big difference in the way you play Madden.
Another thing we haven't seen yet, but it might happen, who knows if we keep playing, is sort of this new fumbling mini game that you guys have talked about.
It's hard to trigger.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
What is that?
It's just something I think we'd seen on every single wish list, and we'd wanted it forever. I know when I was playing Madden 93, I always thought it'd be cool if you could have a fumble pileup.
Right.
No one ever really thought of what it was, but so this year, if the ball's loose, guys will dive on it. Sometimes they'll get possession right away. Sometimes they won't. And if they happen to get in there and 2 guys dive on it at the same time, it just triggers this new mini game. It's a button masher, but it's not just pure button mashing. The button switches, so it's kind of a combo between a quick time event and a button masher.
Right.
And based on who gets there first, they have an advantage in the meter. Based on the skill level, it's different. And we also got a lot of feedback from our community that they thought they didn't want to deal with it. So we went ahead and just added an option for them to just turn it off. It'll happen, but the ratings of the players dictates who ends up winning it. So
I know I've asked you this before, but if you use it, about how many times are you going to see that per game?
Maybe once.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you'll still see fumbles, right?
Oh yeah, plenty of fumbles.
From that.
Yeah. I mean, defenders, don't just scoop and score or they will scoop and score. Whereas it's not just going to be a fumble recovery mini game every time the ball's loose.
Right. Cool.
This is the night.
Can we take some questions from the audience? Let's do it.
Right ahead.
All right. Let's see.
Ian, you look tired.
While we're doing that, what can you tell us? Obviously online franchise, but what else is going on online for Madden 10?
Online franchise was the big one. Online co-op, we also announced pretty recently, and that was a big, different entry for us as Madden. Madden's always been competitive. It's always been about 1 versus 1, who's better than who. So our first, foray into that this year is just 2 users can play competitive or can play cooperatively. But that's kind of our stepping stone to the future. I think the future is going to be a lot more people on the field playing against each other, but we didn't want to just unlock that right away because it's a very different sport.
Yeah.
If you don't do your assignment correctly, it's just a touchdown.
Yes.
I think if you don't do your assignment correctly in FIFA, it doesn't really matter much. You can run around and chase the ball, and it's not ultimate realistic soccer, but it also doesn't ruin the game for everyone.
Yeah.
So that's what we're trying to figure out. The mechanics need to be ironed out for every position to make sure that blocking's fun, make sure that playing defense is fun, make sure you can't blow the game by screwing up.
Do you foresee full team online at some point, and would that even be fun?
I think 11 on 11 is a possibility, but I don't know if it would be fun.
Right.
blocking itself is a very big problem there.
Right.
So it's I don't know. I would love to see like a 5-on-5, even 3-on-3, and I think that's where you're going to see us start going in the future.
You know, the one thing I was thinking when I watched the Microsoft press conference was the Project Natal with your body movement. You might be able to translate that into some sort of blocking mechanic for Madden in the future. Who knows? You know.
You never know.
You never know. All right, let's get to some questions. Anthony Hallows from Massachusetts, South Coast, Massachusetts, wants to know that now that John Madden is retired from commentating, who's commentating? Who's in the game? Is John Madden still in the game?
John is still there as Ask Madden, is the advice. He doesn't do play-by-play commentary. We have Tom Hammond and Chris Collinsworth doing that for us.
That was the new team from last year.
New team from last year.
Yeah.
They were new in 09. And so John's retirement was, kind of a shocker to us too. But now we've actually just talked to him pretty recently, and he's excited to spend more time with us on the game. So I think it's going to be a good thing for us. He's not disappearing from Madden football anytime soon. So.
Good. Chris Keogh doesn't have a question, but he has a request. He's from Jacksonville, Florida. He wants you to tackle a ref. Refs are on the field this year, right?
Refs are finally on the field. I can't really tackle him. I might be able to bump into him here. Oh,
you can't headhunt him?
There, he got out of the way that time.
Oh, they're slippery, those refs. I wouldn't want to hit Hockey Lee, though. He might lay out.
Big Ed, no.
Yeah.
he doesn't go down.
Let's see. Matt Spiker, I hope I pronounced that correctly, from Pittsburgh, wants to know what's new with Superstar Mode.
So Superstar Mode wasn't a huge focus. I mean, we've said that kind of recently. We had so much to do with online franchise. We did just a million other things across the board. But our big focus on Superstar was really streamlining it. Right. We felt like a lot of the areas had gotten sort of confusing. They weren't very easy to figure out. So we streamlined, we pulled out a lot of the extra stuff. We wanted to make sure that the experience was just play your games, do your practices, have a good time, level up your player. We retuned a lot of the stuff like the Hall of Fame logic. There were times where you'd get in the Hall of Fame after the first year. There were some weird things there. So we wanted to make sure it's just tuned right, played good, streamlined, it's efficient. So that's what we did.
Good. Let's see, W.J. Dyer from Chelmsford, Great Britain, wants to know, is there any new player experience for someone who has never played Madden before?
Yeah, so last year, Madden 09 added a kind of a virtual training game that was quite a bit simpler, taught you the game of Madden, taught you about football. So that's still there, and that's also even been improved a little bit and made to be a little more user-friendly. I think this year's Madden you'll see out of the gate is probably the most accessible one we've made in a long time, just because we really went back to basics. It's the NFL fans game. It's really built to not be all about a video game, it's about to be an authentic NFL experience. If your favorite team is the Packers, you should be able to jump in and play, have a good time.
I've seen a couple questions about the running game. This is Jarvis Christensen from Winnipeg. He wants to know, he felt like running has been difficult in the past. Does the new technology make the running game a viable option?
I think it definitely does, including the Wildcat today. Our friend John Robinson was like dominating with the Wildcat today. So it's definitely been made a lot better, a lot more fun. We made a ton of changes with momentum and weight, but also just in the general feel of the players. The game's slowed down. You have a lot more time to read your blocks, to make your cuts. Our blocks are a lot better. They are a lot wider. The run holes are open. I think it's a much easier, a much more fun experience the run game is.
When you say the game is slowed down, people automatically think, well, is it unrealistically slow? Is it plotting? What was the thinking behind slowing the game down a bit?
Yeah, I think it was getting it back to real speed. Madden has been on an uphill tick in terms of game speed, so we have a slider in there for people to adjust, but we brought it back down to a normal level. Realistic 40 times, that type of stuff was really key to us. Authentic NFL speed. Right. But we have a default experience that you can play on that's slower, and in my opinion, it's a lot easier. It feels a lot more simulation. It feels more realistic. But yeah, it doesn't make it any. I think it makes it more realistic with the game speed. It's not really like we just cranked the switch down. We made sure all the animations played at the correct speed. We weren't speeding up quarterback drops versus initial moves or whatever it was.
And you've also done some adjustment with player ratings, right?
Yes. Our resident ratings guru, Donnie Moore, has been doing ratings for a long time.
I follow him on Twitter.
Yeah, you should. Donnie_Moore. He is a genius, man, when it comes to ratings. And so it was a big push for him this year. He'd just really grown tired of everything getting pushed up and up and up and up. Every player was between 85 and 99. So he said, I'm stretching it all out, So he went in right away in like January and put like 35 to 99. So your typical guys that were 85 or something before, they go down to 60. And it made the game just way different. You know, your strong running backs are now very powerful. The elite players stayed pretty much where they were, but now it's a lot bigger difference. You have to manage your depth. You have to make sure you have the good subs. You have to make sure you don't guys get hurt in your franchise mode. So it added a lot more strategy to the game.
Everybody made a big deal about Devin Hester being a 100 speed last year. What's his speed this year?
He's 99 again.
He's still fast.
Yeah, he's still very fast. Chris Johnson as well. So they're still up there. They lost a point.
All right, well, last question, of course, is when is Madden NFL 10 hitting stores?
August 14th.
All right, 14th. Ian Cummings, thank you so much. Appreciate you being here. As you look at Madden NFL 10, right now we're going to go back to the show floor of E3 2009, take a look at home front as GameSpot's live coverage of E3 2009 continues.